Nearly there. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Uplift Live. Welcome. My name is Paul Carenza, and there's the name there. Your name is Matthew McManus, and Jules Bland, and Mel O'Sullivan, and Deborah Foster, Steve G, Joshua Spiegel, Andrew Jervis, Chloe Hill, Paul Mazumder, Kirsty Pugh. You've all joined nice and early, nice and prompt. A very good Tuesday evening to you. Andrew Deacon's got straight in with the question. Hi, I'm here. Any chance Sarah Cox could introduce you from Radio 2? So I need to switch to you. That could be, yeah, because she's on now, I'm imagining. Isn't she? Doesn't she finish by now? Isn't she on 5 till 7? Oh no, they're doing longer, aren't they? She's on 5 till 8 nowadays. I think it's all about management of staff. I think to limit the number of broadcasters in, they've dragged the shows out a little. You might not have noticed that. I think all the shows are doing an hour extra, so they can bump off someone who doesn't need to work there anymore. So anyway, hello. That's all preamble and waffle. A good evening to you. It's a beautiful Tuesday evening here in Chateau Carenza, here in sunny Guildford. Where are you? That's what I would love to know. Stevie G says more Eurovision, please. We could have a Eurovision themed. We've got your song, of course, come up. If you're new to this, hello to you. We have a personalised, bespoke song every single week that you get to choose. First few weeks it was Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire, because it's a good names list song. Last week we had another names list song with Madonna's Vogue. What will it be this week? Have a think and you can say. Here's what else we've got coming up on tonight's show. There's the schedule. 8 o'clock, inevitable technical hurdles which did not transpire. This is good news. And 805 lockdown upsides. Yeah, I thought we did a bit of this last week because I posed a question a couple of weeks back now as to are there any upsides to this entire lockdown situation? Hope you're doing well with it, by the way. I hope it's going all right where you are. And you've been replying in your duos with some lockdown upsides. So that's to come up. Your song, we've got an anecdote off. Tonight it's going to be between my Dutch story or my Tier 5 Friday story. Whichever one does not get selected will be rolled over into next week. That's the way we go. So you hear them all eventually. It's just, you just get to choose. It's on a shuffle, basically. We might have the phone in back again this week. We didn't do the phone in last week. But we might do that again this week. So it only works if you've got my phone number, because I kind of don't want to put it out on the air. There may be someone last week or maybe the week before commented in the chat of a way to do it, and then the chat vanished and I never got to see afterwards. So if you happen to be that person or you know of a way that I can essentially do a phone in, but via, I don't know, Facebook or WhatsApp, or there must be some way without sort of giving out personal phone numbers to do a phone in. Do add a comment by all means. Dingbats that nearly work. That's your old classic game with a new twist this week. Dingbats that nearly work. All that to look forward to. 8:25 Q&A. It's the Q&A, but differently spelt at 8:30, and then the end approximately soon after that. So look at the time. It's 8:05. Time for lockdown upsides. Let's have a look at some of your lockdown. Now, many of you may be part of this. Those of you who joined in. Upsides of lockdown. There are many. Add your chat in the comments by all means. And by the way, well done for finding us in, because we did Facebook Live last week, YouTube Live this week. For now, we're going to keep alternating, okay? I hear tell of a way that you can do Facebook Live and YouTube Live at the same time. One thing, and then broadcast into two different places. Yeah, it's still early days for such technology. This is only the second week in a row we've had sound at 8 o'clock. So I'm looking into that. Facebook Live and YouTube Live, maybe one day at the same time. For now, YouTube Live this week, and then next week we're over on the Facebook Live. If you didn't catch last week, so you can go to facebook.com/paul.carenza/live, I think, and that will lead you to last week's. Lockdown upsides. Right, you've got a few of them. Joshua Siegel straight in, not having to socialise. Good evening, Joshua. All the votes have come in already for the anecdote off. Tier 5 Friday. We want the Tier 5 Friday story so far. 4 votes to 0 on that. I will ask you again, do not cast your votes yet on that, because I will ask you at the appropriate time for that. But yeah, right, lockdown upsides. We've had a few of these come in, right? Carol Marsden, who is the Reverend Carol Marsden, she said sermons are shorter and delivered in slippers. Not only slippers, obviously, that will be weird, but clothes. She wrote this, by the way, clothes and slippers. And faced with tears of joy. I love the fact, did you notice, if you copy a tweet and post it into Microsoft Word, it spells out what the emoji would look like. It can't work with emojis, but it can translate them. Faced with tears of joy. Lucy Marsh, lockdown upsides. Reading a lot, not stressing about being up late. Absolutely. I've not managed as much reading as I'd hoped, if I'm honest. You see these many books on the shelves here, of which we may have a reading later. We often have a reading towards the end. We'll see about that. I might have reading of one of my books. I thought we might have a bit of this. What Are They Doing Down There? It's a book of mine I had out last year, I think, or year before. Lots of very quick, simple, jokey jokes, short readings, short attention span, short comedian, short on material. Meanwhile, Wayne Brown. I'm FaceTiming and calling people rather than texting them on the hoof. Always a fine thing, especially if you're horse riding. We've got this from Luke. Who's this? Luke Radford. School uniform is always ready on a Monday morning. Do you know what I think we should do? You know, we had mufti days at school. You remember those, like you pay a 50p or a pound and then the kid could go in home clothes. I mean, it seemed like every other week was mufti day with our kids, or there was a dress up day, World Book Day, whatever. I think we should have the reverse mufti day. Like maybe we'll all chip in £1 for a charity, obviously an NHS one, because that's the charities that are out there at the moment. Other charities are available. But yeah, £1 for the kids to wear uniform. Might be quite nice. And then we'd have all the pictures and it will make the news and be a nice distraction for a bit. Liz says the upside is other people doing the shopping. Now, Andrew Faraday, who commented that, do you mean other neighbours kindly doing the shopping for you? Do you mean that you are doing the online shopping because she can't work the computer? Is that what you actually mean? Lines every single day, absolutely. Other lockdown upsides. Queuing at the supermarket makes it feel like visiting a theme park because of all the queues. It's all those lovely zigzaggy things. Only the food isn't quite as expensive. Rich Homer, finally take an interest in the bookshelf, but only for Zoom background purposes. Absolutely. This is a fictitious background, but this is a virtual background. This isn't mine. I borrowed this from a leading politician. This is Gove's bookshelf. Of course it's not. That's a lot more right-wing. If you're interested, this is the cookbook section along here. Reference at that end. This is the Christian bookshelf. All the churchy books are there. Christmas is on the top shelf there, just beneath the panettone, as it should be. Novels, regrettable Stephen King purchases, Agatha Christie's, they're all down there. All the Agatha Christie's are down there. We can have a reading from an Agatha Christie at some point if you like. I'm not sure about how the estate feel on that. And down here, books by people I know, which includes me, because I know me. Andrew Fowler, basically other people bring it to the door. That's always nice. Mel O'Sullivan, going to work in pyjamas or half pyjamas and a smart top, I suppose, because it looks fine on the Zoom call, doesn't it? Don't get that the wrong way around. Don't go pyjamas on top and smart skirt. That's not going to work, is it? Mark Blunden says Sunday church in bed. Yeah, we've all done it. Sean says all the wool I've been stockpiling for years is finally being used and I'll be able to buy more soon. Absolutely. Jack Imbert Terry, he said, I feel like I'm maturing. I like that. I sense that's got a deeper meaning than any flippancy I would give that. So let's not have that. Paul Mazumda on our chat here today. I put a Kindle on in the background. Yeah, you can have a Zoom call, but if you're very careful, you can have your Kindle sort of up here and you can be sort of checking things at the same time, can't you? Gianna Christina, all the time in the world to just cook, eat and sleep and repeat over and over again. And she's got a stray cat who's come to visit, so that's very nice. She's in Morocco. So there you go. Hello to Gianna Christina in Morocco. Anyone else from overseas? Are we all in the UK? If you're watching the YouTube live, if you chuck a thing on the chat, if you're not in the UK by any chance, it'll be interesting to know how far we... I think someone said they're from Venice, might be joining at some point, maybe not. Hazel Southern. Going to comedy shows every Tuesday. Yes, you are. Here we are. Plus walking to the allotment rather than a motorway commute. No 6 a.m. alarm. And cuddles with the cat. And time to experience spring. This is the right season for this, isn't it? I know we're all a bit concerned. If this rumbles on into autumn, November gets icky, doesn't it? Paul Mazumina says, no, instead of the bookshelves. I misunderstood you with the Kindle. The Kindle's not at the... I was thinking a Kindle IV, you can have a read while you're on a Microsoft Teams chat. I say that like I know what that is. And Jason Fowles says, Tuesday night watching PK's Lockdown Live, quite right too. Brian Rice, no, not topped up the fuel tank in the car for 6 weeks. Petrol is cheap nowadays, isn't it? It's cheap. Oh yes, well worth a look. Barely any laundry on, says Pip Deval, on account of my 7-year-old refusing to dress and wearing the same pants for 3 days straight. Woohoo! And my husband has become French and goes to the boulangerie for a baguette every day. Brackets, the co-op. I know what you mean, but it does feel nice to step out every day and do it better. If that is, you can justify Essential Journey, supermarket once a day. Not so sure. But it is nice. Carla Laidler, my mum has finally nailed how to get her whole face in shot during a video call, instead of just the top of her head, the wall, her finger, or simply the inside of her camera case. And the steady migration of mealtime, says Pip as well. Breakfast 8:45, lunch 11:45, dinner 5:30, supper 8:15. Bar opens at 5 to 5 in the afternoon. Not bad at all, is it? We've discovered the lost art of 11s is here. Oh, yes. Digestive biscuit at 11s is very nice indeed. Thank you. Now, I think we're long overdue for your song. What's it going to be this week then? You have free reign of what song. If you've not joined us before or you've forgotten, it's easy to forget such things. What we do is, I've got the earphones here because for rights reasons, I think we can get away with this more on Facebook, less on YouTube. For rights reasons, I don't want to play music, okay? So I'm going to play it in a tab with the earphones on so I can hear the music. I'll give you the backing track link as well so you can play it as well, hear it if you'd like to, or just watch me do it a cappella. And then your songs will appear. So if you're in the chat comments, you will have some contribution to the lyrics of the song. Tracy Snellings, learning how to run brownies and guides on Zoom. Oh, I thought it was going to be about brownies, the food stuff. That's either one. It's a good one. My old man's a dustman, says Jules Bland. Is he indeed? I see. You're thinking of the song. My old man's a dustman. That could work. I mean, everyone knows how it goes, don't they? Let's. I'll see if I can find it. Let's have a look. See. Right. Okay. I'm going to go onto YouTube. My old man's a dustman, and I'm going to do karaoke version. Here we go. Right. I will put the link in the chat if you want to join in. Let's give this one a go. Lonnie Donegan. Here we go. Right. I'm going to try this one. This is the what version. I'm just going to play it by Mush Mouse NZ. Mush Mouse NZ. So I'm going to put the link in the thing. If you want to go and find it, you can. Or wait for the link, which will be appearing in the chat any moment. Now, here we go. Mello Sullivan says, "This is me from The Greatest Showman." Maybe next week. My old man's a dustman is the current winner. So let's see. Right. You've got to skip the ads. Right. Play the link. Like put in the chat, or just search for My Old Man's a Dustman karaoke, and it's the one that lasts 3 minutes 24, and that's the one we want. So skip. I'm going to give you just a few more moments to skip past the ads, play it, and skip past those ads if you are there. And in the meantime, I'll make sure I've got a bit of sound here so I can hear what's going down. And here we go. Right. So last few seconds, I'll give you a little countdown. Right. Now, they call this karaoke song, but actually the lyrics are in it. So just play it and we'll see. Right, here we go. Right, ready? Now, here's a little story. To tell it is a must. I don't know this bit. How's this one go? I'll do the names at the chorus, all right? About an unsung hero that moves away your dust. Right, okay, ready? Some people make a fortune. Others earn a mint. My old man don't earn much. It better kick in a minute. In fact, it's rude word, flipping skint. Ready? Here we go. Right. Matthew McManus, Jules Bland, Mello Sullivan, Deborah Foster, Steve G, Joshua Siegel, Andrew Jervis, Chloe Hill, Paul Mazumder, Kirsty Pugh, Andrew Deacon, Steve G, Andrew Deacon, Tracy Snellings, Joshua Siegel, Jules Bland, Deborah Foster, Andrew Jervis, Andrew Faraday, Andrew Deacon, Simon Anderson, Paul Mazumder, Lol Cartledge, that's a great name, Lol Cartledge, Joshua Siegel, Andrew Deacon, Andrew Faraday, Mello Sullivan, Paul Mazumder, Joshua Siegel, Jules Bland, Becky Evans, James Craig, my old man's a church minister. That's where the chat ends. So I think that was a bit disappointing this week, if I'm honest. But thanks to Jules Bland for suggesting that song. The song ended early because the chat stopped there. Mark Warburton, you've just joined in to miss the song. You missed nothing. My Old Man's a Dustman didn't really work because it turns out that's got a mystery first verse that no one actually knows. So time for a round of applause because we're not going to get one otherwise. Right. Elizabeth Faraday. Could have joined with Elizabeth Faraday. Sorry. I mean, you know, what can I say? We'll pick it next week. This is me. Maybe we should pick the song in advance. Should we pick a song now for next week? That might be nice. What song should we have next week? Because then we've got a week to all learn it. And you can all join in with the harmonies. That would be all right, wouldn't it? Joshua Siegel says that was an experience. It was a bad experience. I'll grant you that. So next week, the other two suggested were 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Just step out the back. Does that mean I've got to think of a rhyme to all your first names? Step out the... Get in the... Well, Mel. Nothing rhymes with Andrew, does it really? That's the big problem in life. Chloe Marsh. Sorry, Chloe Marsh. Too late to join the lyrics of the song. The song finished before all the chat ran out. What can I tell you? This Is Me. Maybe we'll try This Is Me next week. Should we try that? Facebook Live over next week for This Is Me. Right. Meanwhile, I think over here it's time for... Oh, it's the anecdote off time. Right, vote now. TFI Friday. A story from... I've got a couple of TFI stories. I've got one in mind particular that involves 2-for-1 pizza night. That's what it involves. And but the other thing you could have is the Dutch story. Okay, the Dutch one. Which is a good story. Okay, so I know people think, I'm going to go for the TFI, TFI Friday, or my one trip to Holland. Actually, no, I've had a couple. But the first trip, the trip with the story attached. Okay. Would you like, vote now, TFI or Dutch? Mark Warburton says, nothing rhymes with Warburton. What about Snorberton? So is that a thing? It's not a thing. Plenty rhymes with Andy. So said Andrew Deacon, you're right. But still, what? Go and get Handy Andy. It's not good, is it? It's going to be TFI, isn't it? I can see the votes coming in already. TFI. Okay, all right. The Dutch, there'll be a Dutch rollover into next. Oh, well, there's a couple of Dutch things now. Let's give it another minute. Fancy a brew, Anderoo. Very good. All right, suddenly we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 for Dutch, at least 6, 7, 8 for TFI. It's about 10 each at the minute, but no, I think there's more TFIs. There's definitely at least a dozen or more TFIs. Right, it's a Dutch rollover into next week. TFI takes it. Oh, look, it's really awkward. I've just clicked off the schedule onto the PayPal and Coffee doc. I don't know how to pronounce it. Kofi Annan? Don't know. Maybe you set it up. No, it's meant to be like coffee. The idea is if you want to tip the price of a cup of coffee or a vat of coffee, that would always be nice. I love my coffee. Feel free to contribute if you so wish. If you are still employed and have an income, if you haven't, then, you know, leave it. This is free for you, but if you would like to, there's the virtual tip hat is there. And I will leave it up for the duration of TFI's story because it relates to an era when I had work. And a good bit of work as well. It was a good year. It's probably the best year I've had. I did Top Gear and TFI Friday. TFI Friday first, then Top Gear, because you may recall, if you didn't see that series of Top Gear, it went really well. If you did see it, then anyway, we had fun making it. It was always going to be a poison chalice taken over from those three. But TFI, right? So I was working on Radio 2, Pause for Thought. Chris Evans, it's actually the fact I happened to mention one day that I applied to be on TFI Friday as a teenager back in the 90s for Freak or Unique, because I thought I didn't have a belly button then, or now, in fact. Still haven't got one. We've not talked about that. 5 episodes in and I've not even talked about being belly buttonless. That's a record for me, surely. Most gigs, the belly buttonlessness comes out. That's not the right format for it here, but maybe one day we'll get to the belly buttonlessness story. I've not got a navel, never had one. I applied to be on Freak or Unique, the slot on TFI Friday where they have unusual things there. And Chris said, he said, okay, well, we're actually going to go straight after this Radio 2 breakfast show. We're going to go and record a short trailer in the hotel next door for the upcoming series of the TFI Friday reunion, the revival show in about 2015, 2016 it was. Do you want to come and be in it? It's going to be him, Chris, and Will McDonald. And then myself, and I can sort of challenge Will, like, why didn't they get me in on it? And in fact, you know what? It's on YouTube. It is on the YouTube. I'll see if I can find it. And then I'll post it in the thing. If you want to see it, you can. You don't have to. Right, it's like this. I'm going to see if I can find it now. I don't know if I can find it. No, there's going to be a lot of them. I've just realised that it's going to be very impossible to find. Either way, right, I'll keep telling the story at the same time. I won't find it. I'll post it afterwards. Right. There's a trailer anyway for with me challenging Will and Chris about why they didn't have me. And after that, then Chris said, well, you know, why do you want to come and write on the new series? Well, yeah, why not? So started doing that, right? And we'd go and write mostly at Chris's house over in out of London. So we'd do the breakfast show. He'd come home, met up at Chris's. Nice place, obviously. I'm not going to not going to break any confidences here. But we were struggling for a theme of episode 2, I think it was. We don't always have a theme, but we were struggling, right? What do we do it about? Do we do it about stunts? Do we do it about, you know, just a hook to sort of hang, you know, because we had like Christmas week, you have a Halloween week, you know, Strictly does that sort of thing. You want a hook to kind of hang the show off. So we were struggling, and the end of the day came, and I said, he said, what are you doing tonight then? I said, well, it's a Tuesday, so it's going to be, it's 2 for night, isn't it? And he said, what, a 2 for? And I said, well, you're 2 for 1 pizza night. And Chris said, well, what's that all about? And I thought, everyone, do you all know a 2 for 1 every Tuesday is 2 for Tuesday? It's 2 for Tuesday is what it is. This was something Chris hadn't encountered before. Obviously, he's a notch above in terms of cuisine, the 2 for 1 pizzas. But at the time for us, we always had the 2 for 1 pizzas. So he said, well, there you go. That's the theme. This week is 2 for 1 night. Everything on TFI Friday, this Friday, will be 2 for 1. If we're going to give away one thing, we'll give away two. If we want to give away one car, we'll give away two cars. If we've got one person who can blow the trumpet out their armpit, we're going to get someone else who can do it as well. Everything is 2 for 1 tonight. So we thought, well, what are the obvious things you do? Twins, right? So we'll get some identical twins on to start the show. And then I flippantly said, well, if it's 2 for 1, maybe we should have the twins twice. What about identical quads? Saying that, thinking, is that even a thing? I didn't even know, can you have identical quads? Well, we Googled it, and there is one set of identical quads in Britain. They're 4 girls. They're about 9, 8, 9, something like that. And so between that Tuesday, the 2 for Tuesday, and the Friday show, they contacted these 4 quad. There's 4, obviously there's 4 of them. And they came down from Burton-on-Trent. And it was only when I got to the studio on the Friday night, the TFI with the bar and the audience downstairs and all that, and I saw these 4 identical 9-year-old girls standing there. And you think, you have these moments in life where you think that decision I made to say that thing, to pitch that idea, has somehow led to this family of 4 identical quad girls giving up their Friday to come down from Burton-on-Trent to be here. And sure enough, they're on the telly. They're only on for about 5 seconds. Bring on the quads. He said, out the quads come. Little wave to camera. And off they go and homeward again. I mean, I'll be honest, there's not much more to the story than that. But just, it was that really odd thing of thinking, because I flippantly had Tuesday night pizza. And I happened to mention to Chris I was having 2 for Tuesday pizza from Papa John's. Very nice too. Love the dip. That led somehow to 4 identical quads staying up past their bedtime and being dragged down to the TFI studios on a Friday night. I have other TFI, probably things I should and could and won't mention. Maybe another time, who knows? But next week, it's a Dutch rollover, which sounds ruder than it is. Anyway, we could have the phone in. We didn't have a phone in last week. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my phone on. The whole point of this, right, is when we first did one of these, 1 or 2 people decided to phone just to kind of catch me out, think, oh, let's see if we can get in touch with him. And I didn't answer. I put my phone onto mute, and I suddenly thought afterwards, what a wasted opportunity to connect with someone, to have a chat with a real human being. So after that, I thought, we'll keep the phone on. And if anyone wants to phone in, this is your chance. This is your moment. You can phone in and we'll have a brief chat, a brief catch up if you want to get stuck in and have a conversation. How you doing? What's going on in your life? If you've got my phone number. If you haven't, until we find that technical breakthrough, if you have got a way of doing that, do put it in the chat. Surbiton rhymes with Warburton. Nearly. It's not bad, Mark Warburton. It's not bad at all. Actually, that's Surbiton. That's a little hint of a clue, of a glimmer, that next week's game, right, this week we've got dingbats that nearly work. Next week's game, I've thought of it in the last few hours. It's too late to put into action for this week. We've got dingbats for this week that don't really work. But next week's game is going to be brilliant, okay? It's loosely linked to Surbiton. Make sure you join us on Facebook Live next week because the game is going to be fantastic, right? There's a theme next week as well. Just like that TFI Friday episode had the 2 for 1 theme. Next week, there is a theme to the week. I want to see if you can guess. While I'm waiting to see if anyone does phone, and you're welcome. If you want to phone now, okay? If you have my number and want to phone and have a quick chat and maybe play the Dingbats game, phone now, okay? While we're waiting to see if anyone does. Yeah, next week, right? It's going to be themed on, it's episode 6. Now, that is a clue to what the theme of the show is going to be next week, okay? Over on Facebook Live. Any guesses? Pop them in the chat now. 6 episodes in. What could the theme be? Something to do with the fact that we're 6 episodes in. What do you think the theme is going to be next week? I'm eager to hear your guesses. You can have a bit of musical interlude while you see if you can guess on that front. Here we go. Ready? Ready? Here we go. Right. Bit of jazz for you. Here we go. Right. Bit of blues. Right. Ready? Anyway, that was Green Onions, although they're gone a bit off. Andrew Jervis, my wife says, don't you dare phone. Okay, hello the Jervises. Hello. Do it, Andrew, says Mark Warburton. Paul Mazunda says, The Prisoner, because number 6. It's not The Prisoner, that's not the theme. Although, as a TV show, that is linked to the theme. 6 episodes in. What 6 episodes? What does that make you think of? That's the theme next week. Now, my husband reckons Star Wars. Okay, episode 6. Good thinking. Very good thinking. Revenge of the Sith. Yes, it's like, oh, hello, Heiko, how are you? You missed out on the song earlier. You missed nothing. My old man's a dustman. Turns out trickier than you think it's going to be. No, okay. Now, firstly, no one's phoning for the phone, which is fine. Only about 3 of you have got my number. 1 of you I've spoken to before on this. 1 of you doesn't want to phone. And the other one, I'm waiting to see if they call. They may not. They probably won't. I'll leave it on for a minute longer. Firstly, people talk about having like for example, the PayPal thing. If you wanted to, it's just a token gesture. Well, I've got a different token gesture for. There you go. Look at that. It's the token. It's a token gesture. I thought I'd better crowbar at least one joke in. It's a token gesture. See, it's J.R.R. Tolkien. That's the joke. More jokes. I've got some more jokes. I found my little joke list for you here. I thought it's meant to be, traditionally in the old days, I was a comedian before I was an online annoyer. So let's have a few jokes from the old days. Here we go, from gigs. 40 thrup, numpteen, 1 pie. I'm just here to make up the numbers. If you take one thing away from this kleptomaniacs conference, that's an improvement. Let's have this Apple motto from around the year 2000. There's no I in phone or pod or pad, but there should be. Should I become a psychic? I would love to know your thoughts on that or anything else. What else we got here? Russian dolls, they're a bit full of themselves. I'm not sure where I stand on Twister. I came second in an own your own shopping centre competition, but you can't win them all. You can't win a mall. You can't win them all. You can't win them all. The guesses are coming in. Now that'll do for jokes for this week. Right, we've got to save some for the next 20 episodes. But yeah, we are 6 episodes in. Not going out. Mel O'Sullivan's guest, Reggie Perrin, Mark Warburton's guest. The next week's theme, sitcoms, okay? The traditional 6-episode series of the sitcom to mark 6 episodes in. It's sitcom week. We've got a game next week, which you are going to love. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's fun. That's all I'll say. It's fun. And special next week, any Q&A, your freedom to ask any question like next week on sitcoms and indeed potentially sitcoms I've worked on, which is really not going out. Miranda, that's about it. But sitcom theme next week, and it's gonna be fun. Heiko and Kirsty, I'm going to work out on a way of people be able to phone in using, Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or something without the freedom of chucking numbers around. So I'm going to work on this. Someone did say last week how to do this in the chat, and the chat vanished and I couldn't see it. So if you know how to, I'll Google it. You know what? I'll ask Jeeves. That's what I'll do. Right, it's time for dingbats that nearly work, but don't necessarily quite. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I would like you to say on the chat what you think is the answer to these dingbats that nearly work. So you know how dingbat works. It's a visual sort of clue, and you've got to puzzle out what the famous phrase or word is from these dingbats that nearly work. Okay, number 1 coming up now. Ready? Okay. What could this be? It's a dingbat that nearly works. Any guesses what this could be? Tnorf. It could be anything. The red line underneath it, I should say, just ignore that, because I did this in Microsoft Word, and it doesn't make an actual word. They check it against the dictionary. There is no word in the dictionary of tnorf. The Oxford English have decided not to add that this year. They've gone for unmute as their word of the year so far, I believe, instead. So tnorf. Any ideas? Post your answers in the chat and I'll give you some points. And over the course of this entire run of episodes, you can accumulate those points, and the first one to 100 points wins a book. Yeah, why not? You can win a book. There you go. You can have one of my books, or you can have a different book. The Nigella's Kitchen. That's always been popular week after week, which is currently being hidden by that. There's the kitchen book. There you go. Bing. So, tnorf. James Craig, Kathy D, and Matthew Manners all say back to front. Well, actually, that works better, doesn't it, than my one? I was going to go with you've got too much front. You've got too much, because there's too much front, and there's 2 of them. And actually, but yours is a lot better. Dingbats that nearly work. Okay, so what about the next one? See if you can get this one. Ooh, what could this one be? Joan B. Joan B. Except the O is big. Joan B. Joanne B. Or J-O-J-I-A-N-B. But what could it be? What could the dingbat that nearly works be? Mello Sullivan and Ruth Marsh and Keith Marsh. You've all got the last one bang on. Well done, because it was back to front. Well, no, I mean, yeah, that's the better than my. You've got too much front. What could this one be? Joanne B. Joanne B. What could it be? Again, ignore the red underline bit. Turns out Joanne B. is not a word in the dictionary either. Heiko has to look up dingbats first. Heiko, yeah, because you're in Germany, aren't you? I don't know if you're a German person yourself. Do they have dingbats in Germany? D dingbats would be, wouldn't it? Because it's a plural, and D I think is the plural. Showing off now. Banjo. Oh, that's good. It's an anagram of banjo, isn't it? Says Dave Donahue. Andrew Jervis. An inside job. An inside job. Yeah, that works better than my one. I was going to go with just Joan B. It's just Joan Bakewell, but without the Akewell. So Joan. Yeah, actually, Andrew, yours is better. Dingbats that nearly work. Right. Let's have another one. This is a song. Okay, it's a song from the 80s. Okay, and you'll see some punctuation on the top, just up there, and then beneath it, there's the word whatever that is. Camille, whatever it might be. What could it be? But what could the 80s song be that this is alluding to in Dingbats? I should have said, Heiko, Dingbats, yes, it's a visual, it's a game. It's a board game in this country where, you've got to guess what the thing means. You probably worked it out by now. What could this be then? Hey, put your answers on the chat. It's 4 particular bits of punctuation on top of Camille, or Camille. It's 4 bits of it could be a comma and another comma, comma. Andrew Jervis says it's comma chameleon, comma. There's a comma missing. Should be 5 commas. So it can't be that then, can it? No, it's a song from mid-80s. It's I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. That's right. But good guess. Well done, everyone who guessed comma chameleon. Very, very, very close. It was actually U2's I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. You can't see this, but I'm actually I've got a jigsaw. You're on a jigsaw right now. You are actually on a jigsaw on this table. And here it is. This is the jigsaw box. There it is. And we've got a whole collection down here. Jigsaws are very in nowadays, aren't they? Very in. And we've just done a U2 jigsaw. It's the actual jigsaw of the band U2. But I did spend a lot of time, good quarter of the time, on the Edge. Okay, so let's have another dingbat that nearly works. Okay, ooh, what could this be? It's 3 question marks in a particular font of a sort of a curling variety. I'll give you a clue. It's a character from Coronation Street a long time ago. Okay, so what could it be? 3 question marks, all made out of curls. It's a character from Coronation Street from, I think, the 80s, 90s, something like that. Never watched it, don't know. To be honest, they're starting up again, aren't they? They're doing the filming at a distance. That's interesting. We should ask. We've got a TV producer, as regulars will know, who's actually in the chat now. Maybe he can tell us how socially distanced soap operas are going to work. I don't know what that's going to be all about. It should be a bit unusual, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing keeping the actors apart, but all the makeup people, let alone the adoring fans chucking their knickers at Ken Barlow. How are they going to keep them away? You just can't. Got to be careful of these things. So, what could this be? They look like tiny chilies, says Mark Warburton. I think that was the previous dingbat you were thinking about, wasn't it? Curly, yes. Curly what? Curly Watts. That's the answer. I've just told you the answer. It's Curly Watts. He was a character in Coronation. Heiko, I'm going to have to explain to you what dingbats are and what Coronation Street is and who Curly Watts was. Well done to Lol Cartledge. Curly Watts, 10 points to you. If you've got any of these right, by the way, just give yourselves 10 points. Hilda Ogden says, Jules Bland, it's good, but it's not right. Last one. What could this one be? Now, this is a picture of a toilet and a toilet mat. And oh dear, looks like there's been some kind of an accident. The Riddler, Heiko says, the Riddler after 3 months without a haircut. Could be, after lockdown. Now, this picture over here, is a word, a long word, one word, long word, that describes a type of language you'd find in English literature. Okay, if you're writing a certain word, a certain type of word, and it's somehow envisaged in this picture here. It's a type of word that relates to, if it's a word that is spelt how it sounds, then that's what you could be alluding to here. You know, it kind of some way you get a sense from the word involved that how it sounds. That's what we're looking at here. Any guesses what that could be? Jules Bland says Curly Watts was in EastEnders. Was Curly Watts in it? I thought he was in Corrie. I don't watch either, so I don't know. I thought he was in Corrie. Maybe someone can tell us. Was Curly Watts in EastEnders or Coronation Street? This is like a backwards pub quiz. I ask you the questions. Actually, that's a proper fun. I just don't know the answers. That's the difference. Here we go. Andrew Faraday, he's got the answer. Onomatopoeia. That's right. That's the answer to this thing about the word that sounds like words that it's spelt. Well done. And Kathy D's got it as well. Keith Marsh says lieutenant. I don't know how you left. That would be good for someone who was separated from David Tennant, although quite sad for David Tennant. Dirty Den Watts was EastEnders. No, this is Curly Watts, not Dirty Den Watts. I think credit to Liz for that answer. Well done, Liz. Jules Bland's got it right as well. Onomatopoeia. James Craig, onomatopoeia. That is what you get from this thing. But congratulations. If you've got any of those right, 10 points per correct answer. First one to, first, you know what? First one to 100. You know, you can roll your points over into next week's. The first one to 100 will get a free book of your choosing from the collection. So there you go. That was nice, wasn't it? I think that worked pretty well. And there we go. Well, that was Dingbats. So let's have a bit of a. That was for you. Well done. This is like a game show where the contestants, they do get applause. Andrew Jervis says he was in Corrie. Curly Watts married to Raquel. Raquel was only Fools and Horses, wasn't she? We'll find that next week. The sitcom week next week. We could have a little bit of a reading if you want, because we've got a few bits in here that might be quite nice to have. Let's see. I've got I had a bit in mind here. Here we go. Right, let's have a couple of these bits. Now, this is I'll read this. This is a chapter for you called "There's a You and an I in Community." Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? You can bear that in mind for you. Do you want that as a screenshot? Or you can send it to your people this week. There's a you and an I in community. There you go. Yeah, you can spread that bit of love out there this week, eh? You and I in community. Right, let's have that. Oh, I've just seen. Actually, don't do that as a screenshot. I've just seen the previous page is all about funerals. That's just cover that bit up. Just don't look at that bit. Just look at the. It's not appropriate. Here we go. The church isn't the building, it's the people who are in it, or the people who aren't in it because they're out there busy being the church. There you go. It's a churchy quote for you here. If your car horn is broken, ask the Scouts. Their motto is beep repaired. Beep repaired, that is. Now, this is my quite prophetic. This is from 2 years ago now, right? Quite prophetic, this particular comment was. Doctors' surgeries with touchscreen check-ins, aka choose your own illness, are making more work by making more patients, and they wonder why viruses are spreading. That was written 2 years ago. I've never liked touchscreens. I've never liked them. Never liked them at all. Let's have one more, shall we? One more. Here we go. A popular English church sign. Yeah. What's missing? You are. That's quite nice, isn't it? But the French equivalent, blank GL blank E. What's missing? E is. You see what I did there? It's E. It's bilingual. The book didn't sell well, which is why I've got quite a lot of them. So anyway, you can go on to a place of your choosing and purchase if you so wish, or save up 100 points. Matthew McManus says, I got 100 points there. My maths may not be great. No, you need to roll them over to a future week. Listen, it's nearly time for us to finish. All that remains is... No, not do that. Sorry, we're still here. Q&A. Any questions? I will gladly A them. This is your chance. Just 2 minutes of Q&A. We'll wrap up by 1:45. That's the deal. And then next week, it's Sitcom Week. We've got a fun game for you next week. And the Dutch story gets rolled over into next week's episode. And the song next week is going to be This Is Me from The Greatest Showman. Yeah, that could go wrong. Join us on Facebook Live next week, facebook.com/paul.carenza/live. You can also catch up last week's video. Did anyone actually comment? This is what, by all means, did anyone not make it last week to Facebook because it was Facebook? Are you YouTubers? Are we just speaking to YouTubers this week who will not dare go and see a Facebook Live video? I'm curious to know that as well. Feel free to let me know either in the comments or elsewhere on Twitter, Facebook, that sort of thing. Lol Cartledge, Curly and Raquel are on ITV3 every afternoon in Classic Corrie. Good to know. Becky Evans, good news at the moment that the church isn't the building. It's very handy. Tricky to find on Google Maps with the church being the people because they move around a lot. They're everywhere, although not so much at the minute. Yes. What is the Dutch story, says Andrew Faraday. You'll have to find out next week or a future week. If it's not voted the story next week, then, although next week we should probably have a sitcom-based story, shouldn't we? Because it's sitcom week. I think I've got a Miranda-ish, and I've got a Not Going Out story we may posit next week, but we'll see. Kirsty Pugh says, I do both Facebook and YouTube. Marvellous, good to know. Mel O'Sullivan, a week to practice. Thanks for the suggestion, Mel. This is me. Steve G's made it to both. Good on you, Steve. Thank you for that. Thank you as well, by the way. Speaking of Steve, I don't know if this is Steve, or if not, forgive me, Steve. But thank you we did have a Steve who has donated to paypal.me/Paul Carenza, or the coffee one, can't remember which, but couldn't find the email I replied to say thank you bounced back. So if you have generously put a tip in the virtual hat and I've not replied to you personally via an email, I've tried to, and an email, sometimes people register with PayPal things that isn't their main email address. So I thank you. I genuinely thank you if you have done such a thing. I will. It has been tough time. I've got a job recently at the super glue factory because there was a sign outside that said apply within. Of course, I misunderstood and there's no longer an opening. That's the rudest joke that I do before the watershed. So, David Harrison. Hello, David. Hello, Pam. How are you? Both YouTube and Facebook. Marvellous. But Lol Cartledge prefers to watch on YouTube. And Andrew Jervis says, no Facebook here. No. So you're just YouTubers. Okay. What I should do then, I'll try and, if I can, I'll try and get the Facebook video and I'll plonk it onto YouTube. Last week's one, I'll sort of put it on belatedly, if I can work out how. I'm also looking at future weeks of how to do both at the same time, Facebook and YouTube. We'll see. For now, though, Facebook Live next week. James Craig, both good. YouTube easier to put on the telly box. That's a very good point. Speaking of TV, then, a final closing thought for you. I used to watch a lot of too much TV. My wife used to say to me, just turn the TV off, read a book, educate yourself. Do you know any words of Churchill, for example? I said, Churchill? Oh, yes. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. It's the nodding dog. It's the TV insurance advert. I've been doing that joke at pretty much every gig for the last 20 years until now. I've always said if they change the advert, I'll change the joke, but they haven't, so I haven't either. Paul Mazumda, superglue jobs, you need to stick to those. Indeed, we do. David Harrison, can get YouTube on the TV, have to plug the PC into the TV for FB. Lots of acronyms there. It's confused me, which means it's probably time to be going. Thank you for coming. You may choose to please clap now if you so wish. You don't have to. I'll tell you what, before we go, I will read you, I'll tell you what, we'll have one more little joke, a passing thing to do for you. If you stand in front of the Queen's carriage and jump out the way at the last minute, that's called coronation chicken. In the words of my ex-girlfriend, I'm going to leave you now. But call me. I hope we can still be friends. I wish you as fine a week as you can possibly have. I hope the weather is nice for you. You know what? It's getting nice enough here. It's not quite there yet. But I reckon another month from now, because we'll still be doing them. All right. I'm doing this till the gigs come back, basically, which maybe never. Not to do with the lockdown and the outbreaks and things, but to do with my skills. So I'm going to keep doing these until then. But I reckon a month from now, I think we could do this outside. We don't need to be inside. I think we could go into the shed. I think we could go, or we got a little deck chair. It would annoy the neighbours, but it's doable, right? So I wish you well. God bless you. Godspeed. And have as marvellous a week as is doable. And I will play you out with something of this. Take it away. There we go. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for coming. And, there's stop with the PayPal and the token. Just, hang on a minute. Hang on. Bye-bye.